So what we have represented here as of before 5:30 were people from 17 states in this country, 3 countries, Japan, Canada, Germany, and of course the United States. We have 12 museums represented, many museum director, chief curators, scholars, representing 10 museums and 12 curators. We have, again, this is at 5:30, so those of you who just showed up, it's a big surprise. We have 9 collecting couples who are major patrons of institutional collections and work together with different institutions to build great collections of contemporary Japanese clay art, as well as other aspects of Japanese art. So it's extremely gratifying to have you all in this room. You know, my gallery, I can fit 25 people on 25 chairs. Here we have, looks to be over 125, 150 people gathered together to respond to the glories of Japanese clay art. So welcome everyone. We say we have a dream team panel here is an understatement. We have the best of the best who've all agreed to be with us here today. We have 2 very prominent, maybe just retired and just getting started, experts in the world of Japanese art, particularly clay, and 2 great collectors. First, and I'm going to do this in alphabetical order, we have Monika Binsick. And Monika, as you know, specializes in Japanese decorative arts, particularly lacquer. She grew up in Budapest, Hungary, and received her PhD from the University of Budapest, and a second PhD from the Ritsumeikan in Kyoto in lacquer. First, as a research fellow at the Metropolitan Museum, she studied the museum's holdings in textiles, lacquer, ceramics, and netscape. She, in a very short number of years, just 6, has been the co-curator of Kimono, A Modern History, a curator of Discovering Japanese Art, American Collectors in the Met, then Japanese Bamboo Art, the Abbey Collection, which traveled to venues in Japan. And most recently, she collaborated with John Carpenter and Melissa McCormick on The Tale of Genji, and currently has the now dark, wonderful exhibition titled Kyoto, Capital of Artistic Imagination. She was named the first Diane and Arthur Abbey Assistant Curator for Japanese Decorative Art. And perhaps most importantly for those of you here today, it's been due to her persistence and perseverance in obtaining and retaining the sizable and very valuable real estate at the Met dedicated to modern and Japanese contemporary ceramic art. And there's nothing more fun for me than strolling over to the Met, even just for 30 minutes, walking up that grand staircase and walking past those balcony cases filled with the glories of Japanese clay art, in part thanks to Halsey and Alice North, who I will get to in a moment. Our second curator of the evening truly needs no introduction other than stating she is a national treasure. But I must give Louise's few accomplishments that are focused just on our area today, some listing, and all of this was done during her tenure as the unique title of Curator of Asian Ceramics at the Freer and Sackler Galleries of the Smithsonian. Louise, I won't give the date. She wrote the book Shigaraki Potter's Valley, which was reprinted 20 years after it was first issued. Her other book publications include Isamu Noguchi and Modern Japanese Ceramics, A Close Embrace of the Earth, Seto and Mino Ceramics, and more recently, her book on Chigusa and the Art of Tea, which she did with Andy Watsky, about the leaf storage jar named Chigusa, acquired by the Freer Gallery. Relevant to us is her very illuminating essay that she wrote for Soaring Voices, Contemporary Japanese Women Ceramic Artists, and we're going to talk more about that exhibition as we go forward. In 2012, Louise was awarded the 33rd Koyama Fujio Memorial Prize for her research on historical and contemporary Japanese ceramics, and the Smithsonian Distinguished Scholar Award. Phew. Allison Halsey North, who I think everyone on this call knows very well, are the founding leaders of the North Group, which has helped many nonprofit organizations with fundraising, planning, and development for over 30 years. But more relevant to us are the work that they've done as pioneering collectors of contemporary Japanese ceramics. Their collection was featured in the exhibition Contemporary Clay, Japanese Ceramics for the New Century, which was held at the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston in 05-06 and traveled to Japan Society in 07 and 08. Together with Joe Earl, they wrote the accompanying exhibition catalog that was reprinted 3 times. They have since donated the major portion of their collection to American museums. But most notable for us tonight is that which was acquired by the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where many of their works are on display on the great balcony, the Great Hall balcony, and of course in the Japanese galleries. And I must easily say there are no greater cheerleaders for the field other than Allison Halsey. Maybe we would not be here today without their guidance, persistence, and enthusiasm. Right. And lastly, but hardly least, is someone who may not be known to many of you, Sarah Billinghurst Solomon. Sarah was born in New Zealand and was awarded an honorary doctorate in music from Victoria University in 2009. But she began her career in 1972 as artistic administrator for the San Francisco Opera, eventually becoming the assistant general manager for artistic affairs for the New York Metropolitan Opera, but otherwise known as second in command. From this position, she retired after 42 years, an illustrious career over 42 years in opera administration. As stated in the New York Times, Sarah is, quote unquote, one of the most important people in opera you've never heard of. As she supervised the artistic budget, directed the artistic and musical staffs, ran their young artist development program and audition programs, their foreign tours, and offsite programming. Sarah remains involved in the arts, including now serving on several boards, that of Carnegie Hall, Santa Fe Opera, Juilliard School, Mariinsky Foundation, and the English Concert in America. Sarah is also passionate about women's health and human rights and is on the board of the International Women's Coalition and chair of the Women's Healthcare Council of Columbia University Medical Center. But most importantly for Bob and myself, we really consider ourselves blessed to have this amazing woman as one of our dearest friends. And also, for me, as an enthusiastic collector who's endowed with an extraordinary eye for form, design, and color. So guys, that's our panel. Couldn't have a better one, as I said. I'm thrilled that you are all here with us. We have worked hard over the last couple of weeks to put together, I hope, an engaging program for you. And so we are going to start with an introduction to the artists themselves. Can we get them on here somehow, Tracy?
If each of them would say hello, they should come to the front of everyone's screen.
Okay. So I'm thrilled to say we have these women were supposed to have two independent solo shows, but in the world we live today, since there is no actual physical show, and since time has no meaning anymore, I mean, time truly has no meaning, having a show with a start date and an end date also has no significance at this point in time. So it seemed appropriate that we seize the day, as people are liking to say these days, and take the opportunity to introduce both of them to you now and to make their works available now, even though they're sitting in our storage facility in Kyoto waiting for an airplane which can actually bring them here. Oh. As some of you may not know, there is only one flight per week between Tokyo or Japan and New York, and there is no commercial transportation of commercial goods at all unless they're needed supplies. So everything has just stopped. I cannot send a FedEx package to Japan. No one can send a FedEx package to me. So everything is just status quo. Our first artist I would like to introduce is Inaba Chikako. Inaba-san, would you say hi to our friends? Can you hear me?
Konnichiwa, hello.
Oh, there you are. Konnichiwa. I was first introduced to Inaba-san. As you may know, I find artists many different ways, but this was a first for me. I was introduced to her by her in-laws. And her in-laws are artists that I've represented for quite some time, well over a decade, Hoshino Satoru and Hoshino Kayoko. And when I first saw Inaba's work, where she was a good bit younger than she is now, the work had great potential, and I bought some pieces first just for daily use for our home. We use them for cake and salad, and we enjoy them. And I have the flower vase that sits behind me here is by her, and I have another little vase that sits in our Paris apartment. And I thought when I saw her work, I was really interested and wanted to follow it. And over time, the work has become better and better. And when I was there, I guess now about a year and a half ago, it clearly was time. She was ready for a solo show. And it was very exciting to be able to see a young artist develop in this way. Inaba is inspired by the curling, withering leaves of local vegetation like lotus, hosta, and orchid plants. And with their pronounced veins, she creates very elegantly furled sculptural vessels. Her white, fluted, curving forms appear like leaves ready to contain droplets of dew or descending raindrops. Each form is unique and equally seductive. Inaba-san, while residing off the shores of Lake Biwa, was born in Yokohama and went to school at Musashino Daigaku University in the College of Art and Design. And she has won awards both in Taiwan and in the Mino competition. Tanaka-san, are you connected, I hope now? Tanaka? Ohayou gozaimasu.
Ohayou gozaimasu.
So as I was introduced to Inaba-san by illustrious ceramic artist, my introduction to Tanaka-san, who's 15 years her junior, was through another wonderful artist by the name of Kondo Takahiro. And Kondo-san has been a friend of multiple decades. We've worked on many projects together, and he's never once in all those years recommended any artist to me. So when he said he saw her work and handed me a competitive catalog where a picture of her work was the size of a postage stamp, I said yes. And he immediately got on the phone and made the introduction on the telephone, and we've started to work since that great recommendation. Like many of her contemporaries, Tanaka-san, of her contemporaries of women artists, Tanaka-san's focuses on sculpture rather than function. And she focuses on clay objects that appear to be vessels contained within a cloth container. In this way, she is trying to engage the viewer to use their imagination of what might be truly inside that cloth wrapper, and to consider the issue of function. The object that's within is functional, but you have no access to it, versus non-function. She too was not born in Kyoto, but went to university, to Kyoto Saga Daigaku, and has also won awards, wonderful awards from the Kyoto Municipal Museum of Art and the Kyoto newspaper, Kyoto Shinbun, and also from the competition that happens biannually at the Nippon Club. And Halsey and Alice, were you one of the judges when you picked her for the second prize? Do you remember?
Not that year.
We certainly.
Oh, 2018.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, you weren't the judges then, so whatever. Okay.
After our time.
Okay. And our last member, but very critical member of our team today, is Yoshizawa Tomo, who's our interpreter, who lives in Tokyo. She is what she calls a cultural translator. It was a term coined by her colleague, and actually she feels it describes exactly what she does. She is born into a family of craftsmen. Her mother is a weaver, and her father is a Kyoto maker of Kyoto instruments. She now writes and translates mainly in the field of Japanese crafts and culture, bridging the cultures of many different countries, generations, and societies. And I can say I've worked with her before. Her command of English is formidable, and I know she'll be an asset to us tonight. Thank you all.